If you've made it this far, pat yourself on the back because this is part 10 of teaching you how to sew a corset, and today is the final review! But first we need to do a few things, and that's removing these basted stitches and then sewing the lining to the shell. After I do that, I cut away at the seam allowance in the corner so that it's not as bulky when I flip it inside out. And then I press that bad boy so it's crisp as a bag of chips. and then I mark 1/2 inch seam allowance at the bottom so that I can measure for my boning. Because my back is fairly straight, I'm not going to use spiral steel for every single channel that I created. So I'm going to reserve the spiral steel for the front, and then I'm going to use Ridgeline boning for the back. Except for this very last panel right here, and that's because this is my lacing panel. I want to give it as much stability as possible, so I'm going to use spiral steel on both the outer edge and the channel right next to it. But if there's one thing I want you to do, it's to make sure that your boning ends are covered. This will help prevent them from poking through and hurting you really, really bad. But once you have your boning in place, you're going to want to take your lining and shell and baste them together so that the boning does not move. And then cut yourself some bias tape and baste that too, because we don't want things to shift around. We want it clean, okay? But I'm actually going to switch over to a zipper foot so that I can get as close as possible when I sew this bias tape. And then from there, I'm going to trim off the seam allowance to maybe about 1/8 of an inch so that I can fold everything over and sew it together. And by sew, I mean hand sew, but don't hate me because it's going to look so beautiful in the end. Last but not least, we're going to punch the holes for the eyelets, and I'm just using a little bit of construction paper and I'm placing that behind so that it gives the leather punch a little bit of cushion so that it punches cleanly. Then I'm going to place the male part of the eyelet down, and then I'm going to place the corset face down, and then I'm going to put the female part on top and press it all together. And then kapow! Your corset is finished! I hope you enjoyed this series as much as I enjoyed making it, but I want to know your thoughts. What do you want to learn next?